This short video is about registering the historical 1938 images to the Washington County HARN coordinate system. Now the first thing you want to do is make sure, as the instructions, you've finished your first part of the exercise and that you've got the lake digitized, the modern lake digitized, and you have your editing turned off. And that is, this part of the exercise is complete. And we can move to the next part of the exercise. And the next part of the exercise is where we're having 3 data frames. All of the data frames were first created, and the layer that was added initially was the 208, so that the coordinate system for each one of these frames should always say NAD 83 HARN transverse Mercator. It's the Washington County coordinate system, and the layer we're going to register here, in this case the East, Big Mar E 1938, is unknown. And that sort of structure you would want to have in all of the data frames, so that it's always the HARN, the control, and the target is, in this case, the north. Okay, and so we've got so each frame is properly set up, so that there's the data frame for the east, one for the north, one for the west, and with an unregistered image at the top. Now the way you go about doing this is we're going to activate our first, and how you go about doing this is the first thing you do is to make sure the georeferencing is pointing at the target image, the one you want to register, here east in this case. And then the next thing you do is you right click on the unregistered layer and you zoom towards it, and you study where this is, and you can see this is the east part of the lake. So then we'll go back, do the back button, and we'll say that so this picture is somewhere in this area. So I'm going to use the zoom button to zoom into that, to roughly that area, and I'm a little too far in, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit, so that I believe the picture is to be, after I studied it, to be roughly in this area. So now what I do is I go up to georeferencing and I do fit to display. And I temporarily drag the old picture over the new picture in roughly the right area. Okay, now I'm going to pick the control points, and on the instructions I show you the control points. The first one is here, the next one's here, the next one's down here, and the next one's over here. And I'm going to pick them with the Add Control Points tool, and I'm going to select, and it's best if you zoom in. I'm doing this very crudely. At 40,000 feet, you'd want to zoom in and select that. So I select the old picture first, then I uncheck the box, and I go to the roads layer on the control, and I click that, matching those 2 points. Then I turn back on the old image, and I select the new point on the old, I turn it off, and I select the corresponding spot on the new. The target first and then control, and you can see now the picture is starting to get adjusted to the new coordinate system. Now I'm going to pick the next one, and it's down in this location, and I'm going to pick that, and I turn off, and you can see where that road is there. I'm going to match it up with the T on the road, and I turn it back on. Now I'm going to do the last one over at this control point. And I'm going to then match that up with that T intersection with that farm driveway. So now I've got 4 points and my image is ready. Now it'd be great if you could pick a couple of other points, but you might not be able to get any more, but at least do those 4. Now what we do is we go to the rectify, we go to georeferencing and we rectify. And at this point it's very, very important that we put a folder in here. Okay, so I'm going to use the little folder button, and I'm going to navigate to where my data is, and my data is in a folder connection on the L drive in some old directory here where I'm putting it in my Lab 4. So I put it in Lab 4. Okay, so this says Lab 4. and it's a directory. There's no file name. Then I'm going to change this to IMG, an image, and then I'm going to give this a name like registered, Big Mar East, E for East. Oops. Okay, and then I'm going to hit save, and that registers my photo. Okay, now I'm going to stop it, and I'll show you how we complete this. Now I've finished the registration of the 3 historical photos by using the control points specified in the instructions in the process I just outlined. Now I put all 3 of these registered historical images together in one frame, and I'm going to be using that to digitize the old lake. Now you'll notice when you first put them in the frame, they have a black background. If you want to get rid of that black background, we could select that particular layer, in this case the north, and I'm going to go to properties, and I could turn off, I could say display background value as no color. So you'll see, and you could do that for each of the layers, so it's a little easier to see the lake pieced together without those black background values. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trace around the old lake, and I'm going to digitize them. I'm going to create a layer. Now I created a layer in the proper coordinate system, the Harn at 83, that matches my images, and I digitized around the lakes, the open water. So you can see the open water has been digitized. And now what I'm going to do to finish my exercise is I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it up above the Lake 2000 in my very first frame, and I get a message saying the coordinate system is different. Do you want me to transform? And I'll say yes. So now I've got all of my lake information, the old lake and the new lake, in my first frame, and I can go about removing these other data frames because I'm finished with them. And now I've got my old lake on top of my new lake with my Big Mar 2000 image. And I could move over to my layout view and begin my process of creating my finished copy. So I hope that helps. Thank you.